Hello and welcome everyone to another diverse careers event. Thanks so much for joining bright and early. Everyone's in the chat. Yeah, do carry on saying hello. Love to see that. My name's Toby. For most of you, you've probably been in a few of my sessions before, but if not, welcome. I'm the founder of Diverse, which is a careers network helping you wonderful people, students, graduates, young professionals with the best insights, career advice and opportunities as well. We work with a range of employers who can help you get roles in tech and other areas as well. And we're joined by one of those employers today, and I'll let them introduce themselves shortly. But basically, we host these events. We try to do them every month with employers to talk about different opportunities, different job roles. We kind of really appreciate it's hard to know exactly what you want to do. It's hard to know, what career path you'll be going into, what that'll actually look like on a day-to-day basis. So we try to just give you all those nuggets as much as we can, and then also give you tips to actually help you do it as well. So yeah, let me know what I want from you guys though. I want to ask. This is not going to be, your typical, snooze fest of a careers event that you might see sometimes on LinkedIn. We want to make this really specific for you. We're going to really make this actionable. And so what you need to do is be really, really engaged, really focused. The time's going to go by really, really quick. And please do ask questions as well. So you've got the chat now where you can obviously give us back some comments and all kind of thing. Just to the right of the chat, you'll see a little question mark where you can ask your questions. That's going to be the best place for you to ask your questions, and then you can vote on the ones that you want to be answered first. And we'll get to those all at the end, and we might get to a few along the way as well. So yeah, why don't you start by throwing some comments in the chat. Let me know what kind of job role, what would be your dream job role in tech? That's what I want to know. Let me know kind of what you have in mind at the moment, and we'll talk through some different careers paths. But let me know some ideas of where you want to work in tech. We're going to be talking to the Sangha Wellcome Institute, who are an incredible research organization, do really, really important work to help the fight against infectious diseases and help us understand the human genome better. So they do really, really important work. So if you do want to work in tech, then that could be an interesting place for you to have a think about, especially if you're into science. We've helped quite a few software developers in particular from our network get roles there. And right now, they've got a tech talent scheme live, which is essentially a 2-year graduate scheme. I've pinned it to the top of the chat. And so if you're interested, do take on some of these learnings and feel free to apply for that after the session. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my two guests. So Mathieu, do you want to start by giving us a quick overview? Let us know what role you do as well, and say hi to all the wonderful people in attendance.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Mathieu Machirifatto. I'm not really junior anymore. So now I'm the manager. I'm a team lead at the Wellcome Sangha Institute, and I lead one informatics team who is involved in this tech talent scheme. So we'll be interested in getting some people to work with us and learn about the job. What should I say now?
Well, yeah, that's really good.
Michael.
Over to you, Michael. Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm actually still a student at York University, but I'm at Sangha this year on my placement year. And yeah, loving it here. And, I'm sure we'll get into what me and Mathieu actually get up to.
Yeah, let's start there. Let's dive in. And I think, as we said, it's really difficult to know what it actually is like working in tech. And I talk to a lot of people, and sometimes I feel we give the impression we know what we want to do and where we want to work, but really, because you kind of get rewarded, you kind of get asked to by employers, oh, where do you want to work? What are you passionate about? But sometimes it's difficult to figure out. So we're going to be talking about what it actually is like on a day-to-day basis, and that should help you decide maybe what you're maybe most interested in. So, Michael, why don't you start by telling us, what does your day start like? How does it look? Let's start from the morning. What are you typically getting up to in the start of the day, and how do you go from there?
Yeah, so I work in human genetics informatics. It's the informatics program for human genetics, who look after genetics of humans. I don't really understand genetics. I do computer stuff. But we look after things like their pipelines. If they want to do analysis over lots and lots of data, we help them with that. We help them manage their data because there's an awful lot of it. And we help them write software. We've got a cloud environment for a project that's going on with people getting their genetics done from East London and Bradford, I think it is, with various pharmaceutical companies. And yeah, that's sort of what I get up to. We get asked, daily from people in human genetics for help accessing data, running some code, help with code. Because remember, these people are researchers. They don't really do tech. They're the complete opposite of me. They do understand the genetics and not the computer bit of it. But yeah, that's sort of typically what I get up to on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. So yeah, that's what makes you a brilliant team, right? So you've got, as you say, researchers who are essentially researching different areas within science. And in order to sort of progress with that research, they're going to need data, right? And so they come in with an ask to you, and then you explain to us a little bit just exactly what informatics means. So is that kind of something to do with the processing of data? Could you just walk us through the definition of that?
So obviously we deal with genetic data. So that comes in, terabytes upon terabytes upon petabytes of it. There's an awful lot. And then, people want to find things like variants in it, how, one person's DNA is different to what someone else's is, and why that might mean, one person has a higher chance of getting some disease, for instance. And so there's a lot about scripting stuff to process all of this data and get rid of what we don't care about. And because it's so much, you've got to think carefully about how you're doing this processing. Like, I'm actually quite lucky now. I'm in work. I've just kind of sat next to the data center here, and this is just one of them. It's just full of storage racks and also processing racks, just because there's always jobs going, crunching through data. So yeah, that's what we do as a team, part of it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and so in terms of the process then, so you get what's called a ticket, right, which is like a request for something. Then from there, could you talk us through kind of, literally what you're doing? Are you using Excel? Are you using different tools to process the data?
Yeah, so everyone in human genetics can email us. It creates a ticket where we just basically keep track of the whole communication. And they can ask pretty much anything. Sometimes it's really simple, like, can I get access to this data? You give them access to the data and say, there you go. But sometimes it's, hey, I've got this data. I want to find this information out about it. And I know you've done something similar to this before, but I've got no idea. So, someone can code up some program which will filter through the data, and then we run it on the farm. We're always pretty much living in like terminals, command lines, and yeah. And then
living in terminals. What does that mean?
So unlike interacting with a computer, as most of us normally do all the time, by being able to click on stuff, terminal environments are basically, it's much simpler. You basically get a place to type in a command. You tell the computer exactly what you want, and hopefully it will do it. It allows you to be a lot more powerful because you're not limited to where the buttons go. You can literally tell it exactly what you want to do and exactly how you want it to do it. It can get a bit of getting used to, but it is an immensely powerful, and really, quite simply, it is just a place to type stuff into the computer and tell it exactly what you want.
Interesting. So that's like a version of a more advanced version of what we're probably used to with coding, right? Where you've kind of got some sort of supercomputer and you can just ask it anything, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
From sci-fi, really.
Yeah, and that's often a bit of it. You create some program to do a thing, and then in your terminal environment, you can run it and say, I want that on our massive compute farm. Matthew said some stats in about number of cores in petabytes. It's huge. And say, I would say use all of that. It's not, there's a bit of sharing and caring with everyone, but say, I need this to run on a more powerful computer than my laptop.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you've got some incredible equipment there at Sangha. Yeah, thanks so much, Sham, for the questions so far. Please do keep adding to those. We're going to get to those questions. Do put those in the questions tab and vote for the questions that you want to get answered. That's the best way to get the most out of the session, guys. Do drop in some questions and we can make this really, really specific to you, basically. Mathieu, over to you then. So would you be able to take us back when you were fresh grad in your first sort of developer role? What kind of things were you getting up to on a day-to-day basis? How might that be different from Michael? And tell us a bit about that. You started as a developer, didn't you, I think?
So at university, I studied computer science and software development. And my first internship was in a software company, building a software for opticians. That was interesting. But my next internship, which was in bioinformatics lab, that was like a big revelation to me. Being able to handle on disks files with DNA sequences and genes and things like that I found that mind blowing, that you could have you could represent life and DNA and cells in files, and then just write software that could do anything. So I just pursued that. I don't have any bioinformatics knowledge at the time, only the basic biology that we learned in high school. I effectively learned most of the bioinformatics by osmosis, by being in the team, in the lab, and then learning from what they do and attending talks. So I mean, there's very much space to join, even if you're not a scientist by training, even if you don't know biology or mathematics, and you can learn on the job, definitely. Like Michael said, and all the different programs at Sangha are structured the same way. You've got scientists, researchers, and they specialize in that. They cannot know about tech, about software development, so they need help for that. And that's where the informatics team jump in. The same way that ourselves, we don't deal with the hardware directly. There are other teams at Sangha that deal with the actual compute clusters and disks and stuff. So it's overall, it's a complex system of very specialized roles. And here, what we have in informatics and tech in general, there's actually a lot of scope to learn different things and try different things. That's what the scheme is about. You asked about what our daily life is about. Our team, so I'm part of the Tree of Life program at Sangha. Tree of Life is not focused on one species only. We want to sequence all species on Earth, get their DNA, their genome, their DNA sequence, and then annotate the genes and find what they do. One aim is helping with biodiversity. If we better understand how the species works, what they mean, how they specialize, we can help with conserving them. And that touches this very country. The insects in decline, otters, population of otters are in decline as well, and that's where we can help scientists understand how those different populations are and how to save them. And also, Tree of Life, we do a lot of when scientists try to understand how life evolution work. And once we understand those mechanisms better, we can see when they fail, how that could lead to, for instance, diseases, and try to and have an approach solving diseases from different angle. The program is involved in a lot of genome sequencing, and a lot of the IT effort is about getting having platforms to track data, to analyze data, to build data, to run software, run pipelines on compute clusters, and message and manage all that amount of data. So we're writing software, talking a lot to people to understand the different needs. And so in the team, we've got a mixture of software development, DevOps, which is like in a way like a developer, but touching on operation and production aspects. We've got bioinformatics, data curator, we've got data manager coming, and because the base of what we do is files and databases and spreadsheets, sort of things. So everyone requires some level of understanding of programming or IT.
Absolutely, and just want to touch on one thing you mentioned there. It's really, I think we can't estimate the importance of this actual work. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that this data processing that you're doing, the software development is going into the research, which is helping us better understand the human body. And then, as you say, understand when things go wrong and what to do about it. So that means you can come up with vaccines, therapies, help people who have cancers and other diseases. So if you're going to work in a tech role, I couldn't imagine anywhere more important than Sangha, to be honest. So I really, really appreciate that, Mathieu. And Michael, back to you on could you tell us a little bit more about the lifestyle? So what are your kind of like working hours like? Are you working by yourself a lot in a team? What is that like for you? Because obviously it's very different to uni. So what's that like?
Yeah, so obviously my last experience at uni was, last year. My bedroom, I mean, it was a good place to stay for a year, a decent bedroom last year, but yeah. But there's a team of 11 or so of us, and there's always like a few projects going on sort of separately in the team. But we just work sort of standard 9 to 5s, Monday, Friday. Bank holidays, always exciting. Bank holiday on Monday. But also like in our team, we do typically 3 days a week work from home, 2 days a week in the office. We synchronize when we're all in the office. So like we're all in today. And we'll have lunch together when we're all in. So yeah, it's a group of really nice people. I can't complain. Actually, everyone here is. Because we're all up for doing the same thing. We're all, essentially working towards the same goal of, the research. So yeah, we all get on, and everyone's really nice.
You've got that kind of like camaraderie, you're working towards the same sort of big goal. And I've actually visited the Sangha campus in Cambridge, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You've got, gym there, you've got, your tennis courts. It's kind of like a university campus, to be honest. So
yeah,
I feel like very much of a stretch from uni. Yeah.
And the cafeteria as well, and the cafeteria is where most people meet up for catch up and meetings, casual meetings.
Fantastic. And Michael, and Mathieu as well, do you both live in Cambridge, or do you commute from somewhere else? Because you're going, you're working from home 3 days a week, and then you're in campus 2 days a week. So how does that work?
Yeah, so I live in North Cambridge, and there's various buses from around Cambridge to campus. So yeah, I walk to the end of the road and can get a bus here. So it's really good.
Yeah, Sangha has a number of shuttle buses from mainly Cambridge and the route from campus to Cambridge, and then south to Seven Well Done.
Terrific. And for, I guess, both of you, we've obviously got a lot of students and graduates, young people in the audience who are, interested in getting those first sort of jobs in tech. So I guess what would be your one top kind of piece of advice, I guess, from each of you? I guess, Michael, you're still a student, but Mathieu, if you take yourself back, to when you're a fresh grad, do you each have one, piece of sort of career advice, and anything you would have done differently, that kind of thing? Mathieu, start with yourself.
I would say be curious, and then trust and rely on other people to help you, and to guide you, tell you what's worth. I think I learned the most from watching and from other people, really. I think most of the teams, not all the teams, will have no senior members who are there. It's part of their role to help and train junior members, and that's why we're part of this tech talent scheme. Is that we don't, by construction of the team, we've got room to accept junior people, and then work with them to train them. That's how we work. It's very good to have some new people joining. They always have fresh ideas and different ways of thinking which are good to challenge the status quo, usually from, say, more senior people, and to find the right balance there. So you need to come also with a bit of humility. It's good to change things, but then we can all sit together and look at pros and cons and everything and come up with the right solution.
Yeah, and that's why it can be great to have young people join the business, because they come in with a fresh new perspective sometimes, and you can contribute straight away. And I think that's something to bear in mind. When you do start your first graduate role in tech, you can really add value and contribute from the start. And Michael, same for you then. Is there obviously it's just sort of first year for you? But,
yeah, I can't really look back on it, but I think nobody is there to catch you out or anything. They're not waiting for you to fail anything. Everyone's so supportive and will help you along, and like you said, just make use of that. It's how you learn.
Absolutely. And I guess again for both of you, what do you think the benefits are of doing it, working in tech? What would you say? If someone asks you, what do you like about it the most? Why should I work in tech? What would you say to that one?
The amount I'm learning, I'm easily learning stuff every day. Like, I've learned stuff today and it's half free. Like, I don't really know if there's anything else you can still get this sort of thing, and it's great.
Yeah, IT is actually a very, very wide area, and there's so much aspects into it that actually no one can specialize and know it all. That's why there are so many different roles in play.
Absolutely. What else have I got? And so, how about your degree? How helpful do you think your degree has been to the role that you're doing now? Is it the exact same? And I guess tell us a bit about the programming languages maybe you did at university and how that's varied now. But has that been like I do exactly the type of thing in my degree that's helped me, in this role here, or is it completely different? What's that been like?
So I do computer science and maths at uni, and it's definitely helped, but I don't feel you need that sort of degree. Like, I don't think you would need a computer science degree to do this sort of thing. If it's something you're interested in, then go for it. But yeah, I'd say it's helped. Wow, I do the same degree. Good job, Nicole. We love joint CS maths.
And the question from Nicole, actually, I wanted to just get to quickly, because it's on this topic. Was it intimidating coming from an education environment to a working environment? I think that's a question a lot of people have.
No. Obviously there's like first day nerves and stuff, but everyone's there to help you. I wouldn't say it was intimidating at all.
And it's more relaxed than a private company as well, because there's still this academic mentality.
Fantastic. And interesting question, I think, about career progression. So a lot of people are obviously desperate to get that first role, which is really, really important. But it's important to try and find something that's going to fit nicely into your sort of long-term progression, I guess. But at the same time, so difficult to know what you want to do. So, Michael, I think it'd be interesting to get your perspective on how this experience has impacted what you think you might do next.
I'll preface with saying I've still no idea in 2 years' time what I'm going to go for, but it's definitely like working here is very different to, I think, working at a company who like makes a product, because they're always trying to outdo their competitors. Whilst here it's we don't really have competitors, we have people we work together with, so it's definitely different outlook on it. But in 2 years' time, I've got no idea.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You kind of, it's tough to know what you want to do until you do it, and then even when you do it, it might not give you the exact idea. But I think for me, when I found my first role, is it at least helped me understand what I don't want to do, and that kind of helps you narrow down your choices a little bit. I think that can be really valuable. You might do certain tasks you think, actually, I don't love that part, so I kind of prefer a role where there's less of that, or I love this, and so I'm gonna try something different. I think that can be valuable. Yeah.
And that's the advantage of this scheme here, is that there'll be rotations between different IT informatics teams. So there'll be occasion of doing very different things actually from one team to the next, and then for people to learn, to discover what they like and what they dislike.
Perfect. Yeah, and why don't you tell us a little bit more, I guess, about the scheme? Actually, we could show the slide right now, Mathieu, if you want to just chat through a couple of the pages. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. And we'll just whiz through this. I'm going to send the slides afterwards, so we won't sort of talk through every single aspect of it. But if I share my screen now, it's asking for permission. Slides. Give me just 1 second. Mathieu, while I'm just finding this, do you want to just give a quick overview of the scheme, and then I'll throw up the slide if I've got it.
So I don't share my screen?
You can share if you're able to share your screen. Go for it. If that's working for you.
Well, the
Well,
Mathieu's kicked himself out. He's kicked himself out. There we go. He should just be able to come back via the same link. I should be able to upload.
Have you managed to get the slides?
No, I've got my slides here, but here we go.
Yeah, I mean, after 2 years of doing Zoom and webinar, still. Okay, here it is.
There you go. There we go.
Okay, I mean, we already touched about the Sangha, what it is. Let me just first jump to this slide that explains the scheme here. The idea is to do rotations around multiple IT informatics teams in the institute, and I will list which teams right after. So that's the opportunity of discovering all different aspects and flavors of IT informatics, and then, as we say, then discover what you like, and then at the end of the rotation, the idea is that you'll be offered a permanent contract as Sangha. So you can see the salary there, and then let me just jump in the different teams. So I think the key, like Michael said, is dealing with the amount of data, and dealing with data that's really relevant to research and genetics, and improving our understanding of life and genetics. So we talked about human genetics, so that's about understanding when human health and variation between human populations, and linking to clinical studies. The Genomic Surveillance Unit is a is a separate department in the institute, but it's also focused on human health. With, for instance, platforms to track the progress of malaria, track the progress of COVID. And then, so that's a lot of software that needs to be really reliable and robust. Us in Tree of Life, it's about expanding knowledge to all species on Earth, and understanding how things evolve and how cells function. There's another scientific program here, cellular genetics. This one, the main focus is still human data, human genetics, but focusing on one cell at a time. So you may remember from your biology class that a human body is composed of, actually, I don't remember how many, probably billions of cells. And whereas in the past, people tend to look at tissues and large pools of cells. Now we've got technology to look at individual cells and really look at in one cell how things work, and that's what they do. And there's a lot of image processing and data analysis on large scale data analysis. And then you've got another group of teams that's from the IT department. So that's really how IT is delivered to all programs at the Sangha. So scientific computing is the team, my team and Michael's interact the most with, probably. They're in charge of the of the compute clusters, the private cloud, and some of the high performance file systems. If I jump to here, they rely themselves on the enterprise solutions, which provide basic software and hardware deployments across the campus. Everything is done in conjunction with the information governance and security teams. So that's about ensuring that we do things in a safe manner and got the right security mechanisms in place. We've got also the agile delivery team. So we haven't talked much about agile, but I think a lot of the informatics teams, so including Michael's and mine, have recently been on a Scrum course. So the goal is to start organizing our work in an agile manner. That's by having better and more frequent discussion with all stakeholders and better planning of software development. So there's a dedicated team at Sangha to instigate best practices and drive large change, large projects across the institute. And finally, there's this parent solutions team that's the same way that scientists need informatics teams to help with running software and dealing with data. They often need sequencing, DNA sequencing to be done in the first place. And that's done in a specific department at Sangha. And pipeline solutions, their role is to write all the software around that. And there's a lot of software. If you imagine all the sequencers, they're like machines, they're like robots. They need to be programmed to add the right reagents at the right time and so forth, and to be able to track data. So, for instance, there's a database at Sangha with all the DNA sequences that have ever been generated in the last 25, 30 years. And that database has got millions, tens of millions of entries. There are, I think, 350 million entries in terms of metadata as well. So they're dealing a lot with complexity as well. So finally, a few things about the Sangha Institute. So, which I think anyway to be going to share in the slides. So there are 25 days of annual leave. You've got the health cover, the parental leave. On site, you've got the nursery, you've got gym and cafeteria, and we talked about free shuttle bus from around campus. And yes, I think that's in a nutshell what Sangha does and what the scheme is.
Perfect. Yeah, really appreciate that. That was fantastic. And as you say, really important work. You get those rotations in so many different teams, so it's going to give you exposure to different platforms and different ways of working, which is fantastic. The agile methodology is really important. It's more of the modern way of developing products and research as well. So I think that's really cool. And as I said, pretty amazing campus. So I've put the link in the chat to apply, and you can go and check that out. But now let's get to a few of these questions, and let's try and help you with some of your specific things that you've got in mind at the moment. So first question with the most votes from Sham: are there any specific applications or software that you're expected to be proficient in to be able to do your role? So I guess two questions, but the same question for both of you. Michael, what do you think?
I'd say nothing particular. Anything particular you need, you can sort of pick up along the way. But if you are interested, most of our, at least like my job, is between Python and Bash. But if you're not comfortable with that, if you're sort of comfortable in, say, other programming languages, or just vaguely comfortable with like computers, it's fine. You just pick it up as you need to.
Yeah, I was going to say Shell and Python as well. As an example of innovation that can happen, in one of the teams here in Tree of Life, someone was interested in Rust, the Rust programming language, and started writing software in it. And they convinced almost the entire team to use Rust now. That's something that no one knew beforehand. One person got the idea and learned, and then I don't know how they managed to teach to the others, but it's happened in a very organic manner.
Love that. So you really can sort of learn on the job, and that's really good, because a lot of people might not have any experience at all beforehand. So another question here from Kajul, and thanks to everyone so much for these questions. Really do appreciate the engagement, and it helps us make the sessions even better. So what are your top tips for someone wanting to pursue a career in tech? So we touched on that a little bit already, but if you've got any more tips, feel free to share them. You might want to make it specific to applications. So I don't know if there's any advice you could share on what you look for essentially, or from your perspective, Mathieu, or from your perspective, Michael, what you think you actually did really well in the application process.
I'd say the main thing, maybe not for the application process, but for looking at a career, is try stuff out. I was going to say something else there, then said don't, and then said try something out. But no, try stuff out, because you might start somewhere and then find something else you prefer to do. So it's a good thing about the scheme. You can try different things.
Sure. And do you remember the application process and anything that stood out that you think you did well?
I don't know, really. It was just back-to-back interviews for various different places and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You maybe just a start interviewer. And Mathieu, what about you? What do you kind of any tips on that kind of thing?
I think I would say something along the lines of what Michael said. If you're interested, and if you have a little bit of experience trying things out, that can help not only you understanding what you like, but also it can then we can have such a discussion, for instance, during the interview, and we can that way we can gauge maybe how you think, what you like doing, and sort of assess where you could fit better. Something else I wanted to say. The interview. I think I forgot. There was something else.
No worries. Let's keep going through the questions, and if it comes up, then let us know. So there's another question here from Tinny with four votes. What's the work culture like at Sangha or in the tech sphere in general?
Everyone's here to help everyone else out, and you never sort of get left alone.
I think it's at the same time relaxed and maybe high pace in other aspects. There's probably a constant stream of new projects, new things to do, especially
there's always stuff to do.
Yeah, so you do one thing, and then that may be relatively short, and then you go to the next. Each time interacting with different people in the institute. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. It's not only about programming and actually tech skills. There's a lot of communication skills. You end up talking to so many people. I need to understand what they need, what they want, and then when you find a solution, you need to discuss with them, make sure that it's appropriate for them, and then maybe try to sell it. You need to find how it fits with others in the institute. So those are really important skills to have as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and you just display those in the application process. Sometimes we have this perception. I think if you're a developer or you're working in informatics, you're just sort of locked in a room and doing your working away, building the world. But you do need to interact with other teams and maybe relay what you've produced. Once you've done their work, or communicate with someone to actually understand what you're supposed to do. And just to add to that question, I guess I think what I've sort of gathered from talking to I guess you guys and people at Sangha is that the work-life balance is really good. There's kind of a very nice culture in place there, and I'm sure that's the same in lots of other areas within tech. But yeah, I think sometimes I guess depending on where you work, if it's a more sort of tech-only organization, the hours could be different. So I think that's another benefit of Sangha, definitely the sort of lifestyle element. Question here from Aaron. What would you do? Would you do anything differently in your tech career if you started again today? That's quite a few votes, so Michael, you're too early to answer that one. But Mathieu, is there anything you'd add? If I transported you back, anything you would have done? Well, actually, no, it's present day, actually, isn't it? So if you were just a graduate today, anything you would have done differently at all? It's a good question.
The thing is that I think I would do the same, but just with today's technologies and today's paradigms. So, for instance, cloud computing. That's something that was not really around when I started, and so that's something I think if I were a fresh grad now, I think I would be super interested in trying things out. So, registering the free tier on Amazon or Google, something like that, and trying out a few deployments and see how it works and understand how it works. But that would be like my personal interest. I don't think that's required to apply for the scheme here. But no. Okay, what I'm trying to say is try things out, but things that are relevant and current technologies.
Absolutely. No, that's really, really valuable. And it's actually linked to Sarah's question. And thanks everyone again for the question. And Sarah, for multiple questions here. Sarah's asked, have you got advice for someone who is not sure, what they want to do specifically and what role would suit them? And you've kind of just answered it there. Unfortunately, there's only a few things you can do to figure it out. There's, actually doing it. So, just kind of going to boot camps, internships, getting placements. You kind of roll in the dice a little bit because you're going to be working on something you haven't done previously. And that's really the best way to figure out if it is right for you. But before that, I would recommend obviously coming to these events. We're going to bring on employers who work in different areas within tech to explain what they do on a day-to-day basis, what it's like. And that should help you understand maybe a little bit more what you might be suited to. and then read job descriptions and see what actually jumps out to you in terms of what's interested, and this within the sector as well. So if you're keen to help battle diseases and improve our knowledge of science, then Sangha could be a great place for you to work. If you're interested in the consumer side of things, or B2B technology, then other tech firms are going to be sort of interesting to you. So you got to really try things, come to these events, get insights, and then the third thing is talk to people. So networking can be really, really powerful. And I'm hoping Michael and Mathieu are going to be open to people reaching out to them after the session. But if I was you guys, I'd definitely be reaching out to them on LinkedIn to find out if I can chat to them a little bit more, or just exchange a few messages and ask some questions. And I'll do that if I'm looking to work at any other organization. Try and find people who work there already. Maybe just send them a DM and start chatting, and see if they can share with you, some tips or at least some insights on, what's it like working in cybersecurity? What's it like working in informatics? What do you love about software development? What don't you like? So those are the three ways to figure out, really: the doing, the events, and then just chatting to people. Those are the tips I'd give. So
maybe to reassure people, finding that you don't like something is not a failure at all. I mean, in my career, I've had different roles or different things to do that I realized I don't like doing. And I was talking to a friend just before, that's why I still have a cup of coffee here. And the person was telling me that their role changed in the last 6 months in a way that they don't like it anymore. And being able to notice that and understanding, okay, why did it change, and then realizing, okay, so it means that I like doing this, but I don't like doing that. So you learn about yourself, and then in the next job, you can target something that you like better, and it's valuable information for yourself.
Perfect. So let's go on to the next question from Sarah. What things can one do to show their interest and experience when applying for tech roles? So how would you show your sort of interest and passion, do you think, against a lot of other people who are also applying?
If you've got something you enjoy that you think would help you stand out, then talk about it in the way that you actually really enjoy it. Not just, I do this. But, if it's something you really enjoy, then show it.
Yeah, you wanna kind of get personal, and get excited about what you're passionate about, and really display that in the interview. Yeah.
Some people come to us and say, I want to work in this field because I want to make an impact on that. And feeling that passion, that interest, that's something that's really good to hear. Some people also say that you need to have to be able to show you've worked on something, a sign you've got like your own pet project, which I don't fully buy, because not everyone's got time and availability to do things on the side. So to me, it's not the hard criterion for selecting people. If you are more interested, I mean, you've got the opportunity, and if you can show like interest and passion, I think that's probably more impactful.
Yeah, but I guess if you can work on a project on the side, showcase your work, attach that onto your application, whether that's in your cover letter or your CV, then that's going to be brilliant. And to your point, I think I've seen a few successful Sangha cover letters, and they've kind of identified what people at Sangha are really passionate about, which is having an impact, making a difference, and they kind of explain how they align with that. Why are you really passionate about this area? Why are you keen to have an impact? Those are the kind of questions you kind of want to answer. There's a question here from Edward for you, Michael. Would you have done a degree apprenticeship instead of a degree? Is that something you considered? Or any thoughts on the comparison of those two?
I didn't really consider it, and I mean, I've loved my degree, and hopefully the next 2 years I'll still love it. But yeah, I don't know.
For the record, there is an apprenticeship scheme at the Sangha as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of you kind of get a hybrid model with what you're doing anyway, Michael, where you're getting your degree and then you're doing a placement as well. So it's kind of similar in a way. But yeah, apprenticeship scheme, as you mentioned, Matteo, those are available at Sangha as well. So if you're not going to university, that's another option to obviously work while you're studying. So that can be great. I wrote an article actually comparing those two recently, so you can check that out on the website. What else have we got here that would be good to cover? So any websites or courses for people to dive into if they're looking to start a career in tech? I mean, we've touched on it a little bit. I think to start building and showcasing products, GitHub is the way to go there. That seems to be where most people are hosting their projects. Lots of free courses on Coursera and Udemy as well. I think Google have a few as well. But anything to add to that, guys? Anything I've missed?
Sometimes YouTube is just a good source, because if someone has just got something they're interested about, they might have made a video about it. So go digging around.
Yeah, you can learn everything on YouTube now, can't you? What else have we got? So yeah, specific skills. We've talked about that a little bit, and that's I think as Sophie mentioned, that's going to be in the job description in terms of the skills that they're looking for. But for these kind of entry level roles, you don't need to have much of a background in terms of experience. Just really kind of that passion and the interest really is the key thing to showcase. Question here from Jenny: what's been your biggest achievement at Sangha that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a particular thing, but just how much I've learned. I've been here 9 months now, I think, and yeah, I've learned so much stuff. So yeah,
I'm learning too, from not necessarily from what I do, but from what people in my team do, and they learn from each other as well. I think what I'll be most proud about, what they did, again, not what I did, is deploying some software and pipelines centrally for different teams. Because the solution they chose and deployed are great, scalable, and flexible, and it's a very great springboard for all future developments we want to do. Namely, for those who know, there'll be a Kubernetes for deploying applications, and Nextflow for running pipelines. There are two technologies that people in my team have deployed, and now it's working great, and I'm very pleased, very happy they did that.
Terrific, that's amazing to hear. And last question here from Rabiti. Sorry if I get anyone's name wrong, but what is your advice for an international student to get into a tech career? Interestingly enough, Sangha is kind of very, very friendly for international students and graduates. We've got a few people from a few different countries around the world that have got roles at Sangha. But yeah, anything to add to that? Matteo, any thoughts on being an international student? It can be a little bit tougher at times. Any advice around that?
So maybe the panel here is not representative, but actually there's people are diverse at Sangha. So in my team, no one is European. Just to make it clear. And Sangha have the HR team at Sangha know how to deal with visa application and so forth, and we can sponsor. We can find. We continuously bring people from outside of the UK to the Sangha. So that's not an issue at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, if you're interested in working, in other organisations within tech and you're an international student, I think you've got to try and be really sensible with your time with your applications, because not all companies can sponsor your visa. So that's something to look into first, and try and save yourself a little bit of time. Try and get in touch with recruiters if you can to find that out first, so you're not sort of spending spending too long applying to places if they're not covering visas. I think that's really important. And then the other thing is going to events, as we said, and then networking afterwards, because sometimes exceptions can be made, or you can get kind of specific advice, or there might be one or two roles that come up, and a recruiter can tell you about that before it goes live. If it is if they are able to sponsor visas, essentially. So those are the kinds of things you want to be thinking about. We've actually just recently started a private, sort of secret, quote unquote, community hub for you to kind of interact with each other and network. We talk about networking a lot, and we want to make that a lot easier for you. We've got people in there who've got roles with some of these organizations that we're talking about today. Sangha, of course, but also One Media, Unidays, Amex, Capital One, some of our other partners. And so that's a great place to network and hear how other people have got their roles. Maybe they can help you as well, or you can just sort of find out if you like the idea of working there. We're also doing some secret events, private events, so like CV reviews, interview workshops, and those kind of things. So love for you to get involved in those. All you need to do is invite a couple of friends to our network, and that's your sort of gateway into the community, if you like. So I'll add the referral link into the chat as well. And yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to both Mathieu and Mike for giving us some time to share some of their experiences and their advice as well. I think it's really made a big difference. Please do drop in some your feedback into the chat now before we kind of close out. Give your thank yous if you enjoyed the session. Let us know, just as I'm closing out here, what you found valuable, how that was useful. And right after this session, we're going to send through the recording. So that's going to come through automatically, so you can have a look at this again. As we mentioned, I've pinned to the top of the chat the link to apply to the Tech Talent Scheme. I would recommend applying early. That can always be beneficial. Have a think about all the things we've spoken about here today, and you can kind of use that information to help improve your application. Michael and Mathieu, there's actually this question. Could we drop in your LinkedIn profiles? Would you mind if we do that? And then you've got those handy.
I have to find it.
Where is it?
I'm going to try and it's taking a while to load, but Michael, Grace. I think I did a bit of stalking of you both on LinkedIn beforehand. So hopefully, and it's a different Michael Grace for some reason. If not, there we go. I've got you, Michael. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Don't
hope
you
it
worry.
is me, not just some random person.
I hope it's you, or else someone's going to get a lot of messages. Cool. And you're on the 10? You got that?
It's coming. Yeah.
Got it? There we go. And we've got Jo as well. She's happy to pick up any questions. There we go. There's Mathieu's LinkedIn profile. So yeah, have a think about that, guys. We keep on bringing up networking. This is going to be an opportunity to build a connection with someone. So do get in touch with them if you like. And yeah, best luck with the application process. Do think about how you can reflect your passion, your interest for working in a tech role, particularly within science, when we're working on understanding the human genome better and coming up with ways to battle infectious diseases. Could you have more important work than that? It's pretty incredible. So yeah, have a think about that when you do apply. Really do reflect that in your cover letters and in your interviews. We also did a podcast episode with Cordell, one of the candidates from our community, who explained a little bit more about what it's like working as a developer at Sangha. He gave some tips as well. So all you got to do is head over to our website and check those out. That's just wearediverse.io. So yeah, let's leave it there. Again, thanks so much, Michael and Mathieu, for giving us some time. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we see you in another session in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for organizing.
Thanks,
everyone. All right. Let's leave it at that. Everyone.